If you were arrested by 5 armed coppers the moment you stepped off a plane, you'd assumed they'd found a bomb in your suitcase or something. But no, turns out you can be arrested at the airport if you have written a few tweets that trans activists don't like. And that was the case for Graham Linehan, the comedian and co-creator of the comedy Father Ted. He was arrested like he was some sort of terrorist at Heathrow Airport in the most insane 1984 experience ever. I'm going to show you the tweets he wrote that led to his arrest, as well as his Substack detailing his crazy experience of being chucked in a cell and whatnot. But first of all, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. It massively helps out this channel. So now this situation, before we get into the details of the tweets that he wrote, I just want to give you an update, guys, which is that Nigel Farage is going to be raising this arrest that just happened with Trump's allies when he meets with them in Washington this week to speak about free speech. We knew that he was going there to talk about Lucy Connolly's situation. She's just been released from prison after a crazy long sentence for a tweet. And this has happened, I mean, the timing of it, for this to happen just before Trump goes over there, there's going to be all eyes on this, especially because Graham Linehan is a well-known figure. I pray JD Vance and the Trump team can do something to put pressure on Keir Starmer to sort this out, because we can't live like this. People, after seeing what's happened to Graham Linehan, are going to be terrified to write any jokes online anymore. I really feel sorry for comedians, because they must be, I mean, he says that he wasn't just super stressed out and had his blood pressure go sky high. He had to go to A&E, as you can see in the photo there, because of the situation. It wasn't just the stress of what happened on this day. He says he's been really stressed out the past few years because of trans activists constantly coming after him, trying to get him arrested for his comedy that he should be allowed to post. So some of you will remember, oh, I can't get my photos in the right place. Some of you will remember this show, Father Ted, from the 90s, a bit before my time, because I'm a young baby and I was born in 2000. But some of you would have been fans of the show and will be shocked to see what has happened to its co-creator. Now let's take a look at those tweets. So there were 3 tweets that he was in trouble here. This is the first of them. So he said, if a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he is committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls. And this one, a photo you can smell. So I believe this was a photograph of people, trans activists, protesting after the Supreme Court judgment about the Equality Act and the definition of a woman in that. I believe I actually retweeted this at the time, and I'll be honest, I thought it was quite funny. Maybe I'll get arrested for saying I think that this tweet is funny, but to be honest, I do. And then the other tweet he's in trouble for is he sent a reply to that tweet you're seeing on the screen now, where he said this: I hate them, misogynists and homophobes. Fuck them. You may not agree with using such strong language, but should it be illegal and should it mean you get arrested at the airport like a terrorist? I doubt very many people would back that. Now let's read his absolutely shocking Substack, guys. It's a little bit long, but you guys are going to want to read this, because this is just the most insane experience that he went through. So he says, the moment I stepped off the plane at Heathrow, 5 armed police officers were waiting, not 1, not 2, 5. They escorted me to a private area and told me I was under arrest for 3 tweets in a country where paedophiles escape sentencing, where knife crime is out of control, where women are assaulted and harassed every time they gather to speak. The state has managed to mobilize 5 armed officers to arrest a comedy writer for this tweet. And no, I promise you, I'm not making this up. Honestly, this is so surreal, guys, that this is where the police are focusing their resources and not just coming for a knock at your door, literally taking you at the airport with 5, not just normal police officers, but armed coppers arresting you like a terrorist. I would have been terrified if this happened to me. He says, when I first saw the cops, I actually laughed. I couldn't help myself. He said, don't tell me you've been sent by trans activists. The officers gave no reaction, and this was the theme throughout most of the day. Among the rank and file, there was a sort of polite bafflement, entirely professional and even kind, but most had absolutely no idea what any of this was about. Kind, because the officers saw how upset I was when they began reading me my rights, and the red mist descended, and I came close to becoming one of those police body cam videos where you can't believe the perp isn't just doing what he's told. And they treated me gently after that. They even arranged for a van to meet me on the tarmac so I didn't have to be perped walked through the airport like a terrorist. Small mercies. Yeah, weren't they kind? They're going to arrest you for a tweet, but at least they mean, you know, they don't allow everybody to take pictures while it's happening. At Heathrow police station, my belt, bag and devices were confiscated. It's classic. You know, this is one of the things that terrifies me the most about being arrested by the police for something that I said online, is that every time the police arrest you for something, even if they let you go, they take all your devices off you, and then they never bloody give them back. They say, "Oh yeah, we'll figure it out later," and then months and months go on, and you still don't get your phone back. And you make phone calls. You say, "Can I have my phone back?" Well, if you've got a phone to call them on. So if you get arrested, it's pretty much guaranteed you've now got to buy a brand new iPhone and try and get all your data transferred to. It's just complicated. It's just ridiculous. Then I was shown into a green tiled cell with a bunk, a silver toilet in the corner, and a message from Crime Stoppers on the ceiling, next to a concave mirror that was presumably there to make you reflect on your life choices. Wow, imagine that, being chucked in a cell because of a tweet. Later, during the interview itself, the tone shifted. The officer conducting it asked about each of the terrible tweets in turn with the sort of earnest intensity usually reserved for discussing something serious like, "Oh, I don't know, crime." I explained that the punch tweet was a serious point made with a joke. Men who enter women's spaces are abusers, and they need to be challenged every time. The punch in the bollocks pit was about the height difference between men and women, the bollocks being closer to punch level for a woman defending her rights, and certainly not a call to violence. Not one of my best, as one of the female officers said, "We're not that small." He mentioned trans people. I asked him what he meant by the phrase, and he said, "People who feel their gender is different than what was assigned at birth." I said, "Assigned at birth? Our sex isn't assigned." He called it semantics. I told him he was using activist language. The damage Stonewall has done to the UK police force will take years to mend, says Graham. And lastly, let's take a look at his experience of being rushed to the hospital. Eventually, a nurse came to check on me and found my blood pressure was over 200. Stroke territory. The stress of being arrested for jokes was literally threatening my life. So I was escorted to A&E, where I write this now after spending about 8 hours under observation. He's writing this from the hospital. Bless him. The doctor suggested the high blood pressure was stress-related, combined with long-haul travel and lack of movement. I feel it may also have a contributing factor that I have now spent 8 years being targeted by trans activists working in tandem with police in a dedicated, persistent harassment campaign because I refuse to believe that lesbians have cocks. What a line to end on. Absolutely insane. And the big guns have brought attention to this issue by sharing on Twitter. We've had J.K. Rowling share this. She has shared the Free Speech Union's tweet where they have announced that they are backing Graham. They're going to be helping him. Just to clarify, I realise I haven't mentioned this yet. He was let go. He's not going to be thrown behind bars, does not seem, for what he has done. He's just been given one bail condition, and that is that he is not allowed to go on X, i.e. Twitter. But they're going to help him challenge that because the Free Speech Union say they think that is unlawful to be banning him from using X, essentially gagging him. You know, clearly that hasn't achieved very much because he's able to use Substack and write that post that I've just read to you. Anyway, J.K. Rowling has responded saying, "What the fuck has the UK become? This is totalitarianism, utterly deplorable." And Elon has also retweeted that saying, "Police state." Obviously not a huge long comment from him, but him sharing it does get it a lot of views. And as I pointed out at the beginning of this video, Nigel Farage is going to be bringing this up in Washington this week. So it's going to be really exciting to see what happens there. Anyway, that's the latest update on this crazy free speech situation. The censorship is getting out of control, guys. And that's why it's important you subscribe to this channel, because here we fight back against that. It is very important that we keep on speaking out every time someone is completely unacceptably arrested for saying what they think. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you next time.